Hello, I'm Mary V. Today, let's talk about how much the violin can move even though you've got a shoulder rest. So many people test their shoulder rest by just holding it with your jaw. But as a matter of fact, it's not quite right that because the violin is always held by the left hand and the jaw, right? So this alone makes everything more rigid than it should be. For example, when we shift up, the violin goes in towards us. It goes this way, in towards us, and we can feel that. And then when we shift down, the hand has got to take much more responsibility to stop the head from clamping and making sure that the head doesn't stop the violin coming out from under us like that. There's a feeling of it going away from us, and there's a temptation to clamp the head down. But as a matter of fact, the head doesn't get any heavier. It's the left hand that actually slides and takes responsibility. And you can see how much movement there is in the violin doing this. The violin goes up and down. It moves a lot, and it should move a lot. Now, a lot of people do have very heavy heads. They're clamping down a lot, and they need to learn to trust that if their shoulder rest is in the right place, if it's fitted properly, it actually puts the violin in the correct place, and the head simply needs to just go down just to stop the violin from falling off. That's all it does. But there should be plenty of movement in the head and in the violin when you're playing. If you look at the scroll, you'll see there's loads and loads of movement here. The violin moves. And also, it's very good to have more than one head position when you play. For example, if you think of yourself as just looking straight on into a mirror, you put your violin there, you ought to still be able to play. And then if you want to turn your head and look down the fingerboard, that's another position you can do. So you need to be able to not be rigid. There's this idea that you've got to sort of be very rigid and that's it, the violin doesn't move. And there are quite a few people who have stopped using shoulder rest because, oh, they're so glad to get away from the rigidity. But as a matter of fact, the shoulder rest should give you more freedom, actually, because the violin moves. Look how much my violin's moving here. So let's just play an ordinary D major scale in different head positions. So I've got plenty of freedom. The violin isn't going to fall. I know it's not going to fall because my left hand is taking the weight, right? But very, very lightly. So this is a very good exercise to release your left hand and to learn to trust your head and your left hand. And if you want to hold the violin like that, that's absolutely fine. Or just to make sure that the violin isn't going to fall, just put your hand there. And then slide your hand up and down. And as you come down, make sure that you're not clamping. Just take more weight of the violin. Let the violin slide using the thumb, right? And you'll discover that you don't need to clamp your head down. You don't need to have any rigidity at all. Do try it and see if you can free yourself from this idea that everything is rigid once you've got a shoulder rest. No, it's not. In fact, when you're going down, if you allow the movement to be upwards, it's very helpful. It teaches you that your head doesn't need to enable the downward shift. It's the left hand that does it, and the movement of the violin. So try it yourself, and you'll be amazed at how free you can actually be. And that's the goal, isn't it? To have a technique that is not rigid, that's not clamped, and that's not heavy. We lighten and lighten and lighten so that our muscles are free to move very fast, very lightly. So try it for yourself and see if you can free yourself from any rigidity that you may have just by this simple exercise of teaching your left hand to change shape and to see whether you can slide up and down without tightening up your head, right? So I'll leave it there and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Bye.